What's happening, people? We're in Bournemouth Road in Poole today with Rory, the 22-year-old property entrepreneur. Nice to meet you, fella.
Nice to meet you too. So we're outside a 9-bed HMO conversion that we're doing. So we'll go around and have a look and show you what we're up to. So this is out the back. So here we're actually going to be knocking this existing extension down and extending 6.5 meters. We haven't got the planning just yet, but it's just gone to legal. So we're expecting it to come through in the next 2-3 weeks or so. And this is going to give us a large kitchen and communal space. Then we're going to have 2 bedrooms in what was the existing kitchen and like living space within the house. So this will make it a 9-bed property over 3 floors.
I remember you saying earlier that obviously this area is not Article 4. So
no.
With getting planning in a non-Article 4 area, is it difficult? Is it lengthy? What's the crack with that?
So like the main thing they're looking at is, or you should be looking at if you're looking to do it, is they can't or they shouldn't be able to refuse it on the basis that it is a HMO. Yeah. So it all comes down to the design and the amenity that you're providing. So which is why we're going to have like a huge, I don't even know what metre square, but it's going to be a huge kitchen living area. Yeah. Like loads of amenity for the tenants. We've got off-road parking for the highways, can have a bike store, bin store, a nice garden space. So all these things that they could look to refuse you on, you just got to make sure you tick those boxes rather than being worried that it's a HMO or not. So you haven't got to worry about what the density is like, what, you know, if you're sandwiching or any of those other bits that you might look at. It's purely down to the design. Right. And, you know, there can be other factors if it's not heritage area, etc. But mainly it's down to the design and making sure you meet all the amenity, which can be different from the amenity standards.
Yeah, same. There's a lot that goes into it, and I thought it was just they look to see how many HMOs are in the area. If there's too many, then they won't do it. But it sounds like there's a lot that they take into account.
Yeah, I mean they'll do that in Article 4 as well. Yeah. But you've obviously got that first hurdle of will they allow it to be a HMO, the principle of that change of use to start with. Same. Whereas here they're more looking at the designs. If you look at the ones that have been refused in the area, you know, some of them will be like I know a 9-bed got refused with like a 11-metre square kitchen, and they wanted to tarmac the whole garden to make it parking, which they thought would be great because given loads of parking. Yeah. The highways only wanted 1 parking space, and they refused it on the basis of having minimal amenity area with the small kitchen and not having any communal garden because they made it a car park. Yeah, so like, you know, it's knowing what they look for in terms of the amenity and making sure we tick those boxes, as opposed to sort of going, will it work as a HMO from a planning point of view or not. So this is the existing kitchen, like dining area, lounge area, pretty much completely untouched. All we've really done is take down the ceilings and remove or move where the gas meter was as it was inside, because there's no point us going full steam ahead and making this either bedrooms or a kitchen for the first fix, so we don't know what the planning outcome is going to be yet. So you'll see that downstairs has been pretty much unleft or untouched in terms of work, bar the front 2 rooms as they're not changing, just so when we get the planning outcome we can then either make this the kitchen area or do the extension and make these the 2 bedrooms.
See if the planning got refused, worst case scenario. Yeah. Would that then have to change how you guys are fixing it down here, or what would happen?
So we've got we've got a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Obviously, the plan A is the 9-bed. The plan B would be to make this the kitchen living area. Yeah. Then we've got 7 rooms already. Oh, okay. So we could either appeal the refusal, or reapply as a 7-bed with this is the kitchen living area, and then we've still got 7 rooms. If that then refused, we would just knock through one of the rooms and make it a massive room. So we'd still recoup some of the cost because the room might rent for another, say, £200 a month. Yeah. And that might then equate to another, I don't know, 50 grand in end value, let's say. Maybe not 50, but yeah, it will recoup some cost in the delays. So like we've always got options to mitigate.
So you've got like a contingency for your contingency.
Yeah, so like there's never going to be a scenario in this job where we haven't got a HMO on a commercial bow as an exit. We're always going to have that option regardless of the planning outcome.
Yeah, so prepare, mate. Be prepared for everything, you know what I mean? But your phone buzzes off like all the time.
It's a little bit less now, but it's still always going.
Do you like outsource a lot? So like, because obviously for us anyway, because we're early days, like what, 1.5 years into it, like quite literally we do everything, innit? Social media, emails, accounts, all of it. Yeah. With you, because you're the head of the helm, I guess, do you have like a team that like do that sort of stuff, or how's your layout?
Slowly build it out. Like, we've now got someone full-time doing accounts. Now got like a project manager full-time, got property manager for letting staff. So like you slowly build the team out. Yeah. So like I kind of just like, I see it as like when you start building everything yourself. Yeah. I've always had the sort of thought of whatever takes the most of my time, I try and knock that off first. Like the first VA that I hired, their job was to do like all the spare room messages and all the viewings, stuff like that takes loads of my time.
Yeah.
And then it was I was spending loads of time doing referencing or rent chasing. So then I changed the job role to do that. So I was always just like hiring to give me more time to focus into someone else, and then like hiring to replace that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What would you say like now then is like the main thing that you do that takes up the majority of your time then?
There's probably not one main thing. Like my days, like they're so varied, which I enjoy. So I'll still be involved in like accounts at some stages. I'll still be like meeting with clients, you know, pricing up jobs. That takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there's loads of elements, and it's hard because some elements people come to you for. Right. For example, like the reason people use my company is probably, without sounding arrogant, like 8% me and the knowledge I have, especially when it comes to HMO portfolio builder services like this client is for this project. And it's like they're coming from my knowledge. Although like you can train people to, you know, do the design, like where we're gonna, you know, we're gonna put the sockets there because of that reason, we're gonna do this and that, like you can train that, but then there's still that level of like gut feeling of like, oh, this is gonna work because this and this, and you know, like that people, like one of the reasons people pay and come to you.
Yeah, it makes sense. So specialising in your area has massive impact on your business and why people come to you, sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And it's hard to replicate that service and scale that side of things. But then things like the construction you can scale. That's easier because it's less niche in terms of knowledge. You know, like a spark is a spark. What they know is what they know. Don't get me wrong, it's useful to have one who's done lots of HMOs.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like ours has, because he knows what's expected, the fire regs, etc. So yeah, some elements are easier to expand and grow than others.
What's the biggest challenges you face with projects of like this size? It's a 9-bed, that's massive, do you know what I mean?
It'll be when we're waiting on the planning decision. So like the project we'll see next is a 7-bed that absolutely flew by. We had the planning in place before we start the project, and we're not having to do it in like bits. So like here, we split the job into phases. So like we're doing all the upstairs, we're doing this floor, and then obviously we see the ground floor. Some of it's not even first fix. Other bits we've boarded it and we're waiting on that planning outcome. So like splitting the job into bits like that makes the schedule so much harder to track, so much harder to follow, because you have that uncertainty. Whereas if you're doing a whole project at once, you know, you're doing all the first fix at once, you're doing all the plastering, all the structural work. You're not doing a bit here, then having to pull off, come back, and you know, you can have a carpet fitter upstairs and someone putting in steels downstairs. Like it's you know, it ruins the flow of the project. That's the hardest thing to manage. And you know, you look at the timescales. Obviously, sometimes we're waiting on planning, but like the job we'll go to next was like 4.5, 5 months. Oh really? Like back to brick, 7-bed extension.
What's the average then? Or does it depend on size of the HMO?
I normally just say 6 months. Is like
6 months, really?
Safe. We should be able to do it in less, but 6 months allows for either us being busy and being delayed, or any other delays that could be incurred. Because it could be like a party wall, it could be, you know, it could be a build over notice from West's water. There could be so many different things that could cause a delay. So when I'm doing numbers, allowing 6 months is normally whereabouts you want to be.
We're at Rory's second project now. This one's a fully furnished 6-bed HMO. The finish is quality, mate. Gonna go inside, ask Rory a few questions, see what the crack is, go from there, mate.
I didn't start just by doing these sort of projects, because we started by doing little maintenance jobs like a kitchen here, a bathroom there, and then like, you know, a slightly bigger project like we're going to paint the whole house, change the flooring, and then a new kitchen. Then it might be paint the whole house, change the floor and kitchen and a bathroom and doors. So like every time you sort of, I always see it as like de-risking it from my exposure of fucking someone up, and then the risk to the client, because like once you know how something needs to be done, then if you're doing something extra new, like okay, now we're doing a kitchen, we've not done that before, that's only one new element that's new. And it was every time built for that, like then one job would be like the first extension. But everything else, like the plastering, the electrics, the plumbing, you've got all the trades sorted, they've already done it. You've only got one element that's new. So like it was just like an incremental. So you quite literally built up from like the ground. Yeah, I would be, because we used to like, I say private jobs, but like we don't do any work at the minute for like, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith that want like an extension done, or you know, like, it's all just investors and developers that we work for. But before that, we did do those sorts of jobs, like you know, kitchen diner conversion. We've done like garage conversions, like that sort of stuff. And I'd be very selective on the jobs that I took, on ones that would A, were all right customers, and B, was stuff that I'd always like progress forward. So like before we did like our first big HMO, there was one element on it I hadn't done. I was like, okay, I want to get some trades and almost like test them before doing that next big job. So like, I was quite selective on like the jobs that would progress my like base of trades that I was using and also my knowledge. So it was just progressing forward. It's like learning but being paid for it. It don't always work. Like the first big HMO, we lost money. But then that was like the base. Then go on and get the clients to the next one, the next one, the next one. Because obviously, if you've got an actual physical property in a project you can show someone, there's no better marketing than that. Right. Just like telling them, oh, we're going to do this, get these returns. Actually, physically showing someone this is what we do, and being able to bring people here and show them. That's always the best type of marketing.
Did you have to go through like a lot of tradies? Like, was it trial and error with a lot of them, or did you find the team straight away? Or?
Yeah, but it takes time. It's just over time. Like, I've still got like the electrician you saw at the other job. He's been with me since the first ever project we've done.
Oh, really? Yeah.
My flooring guy's been with me since the start. Like others not. We've had people walk off jobs midway through. We've had like the decorator that I use now. We've got him because the decorator let us down over Christmas. Literally, over Christmas, like last couple of weeks of December before the Christmas period, this decorator walked off the job because he didn't want to do the snagging on another job we'd done. Yeah. He'd fucked that up. Right. He didn't want to do it. He walked off that job, and this decorator squeezed me in, got the job done, and I've used him ever since. So like, do you know what I mean? Like you sort of build your trades up. When you're doing like that job was literally like new flooring in the HMO, 2 new bathrooms, new fire doors, painting and furniture. Like it weren't like this, but like doing those sort of like jobs that I would probably not take a second look at now because it's not worth my time. But by doing them, it gives you the sort of base and foundation to go on and do.
Yeah, because I guess back then, that was a massive job to you, innit?
Oh yeah.
9 bed wouldn't even been in the picture. Now for you, that's 2 small 9 beds where you're fucking
it's more about like it's not worth my time.
Of course,
I mean, to be fair, we probably would, if it was a property we managed, we'd do it, but we wouldn't just do it as a main contract. It's not worth it. But like, looking back, at the time I was like fucking buzzing.
Yeah, I bet you was. It's sick.
Yeah, you just sort of progress on and move on.
It gives you sort of like a visual idea of it, because I feel like you were saying, socials, people go from this to that, and it looks like they've just taken the jump in it. But then you're saying you've literally gone like that, quite literally like steps in it.
Yeah,
I think that's mad.
I sort of, I think that loads of people do like courses and stuff, and like there's a time and a place for that. But I think you learn the most by doing stuff. There's no way that you could put everything, even just with HMO conversion, into a course, because there's always something new coming up, and there's no way you're going to know every single element, especially when you're talking about doing building as well. Like you can cover a basic knowledge base, but nothing speaks louder than actually doing it.
The perfect example is your painter walking off site. Like you can't put that into a course, bruv. Like if that happens, you've got to react to it there and then. Like not, do this, this, and this, and you'll be financially free. You know what I mean?
Doing like these sort of size projects, and like it's like growth isn't like that. It's more like that, and then like you start getting the traction.
Building momentum in that, isn't it?
Yeah, and like sometimes I think I've always just thought being in the industry, you get opportunities. I think you said like you sort of take the opportunities, and you do. Like you do just get opportunities, and you start to build your network up. I know it's a cliche saying your network, your net worth and all that, but it really does help. Like just by knowing people and people knowing you. And also, you mentioned about the time, like I go to like local networking events now, and people say to me, I remember when you first came here at 17, and they've seen the journey.
That's mad.
And like they've also seen that like, because like, a lot of people pop up and look like they're the next big thing, say they're doing this, say they're doing that, and they die off.
Right.
So many people do that, and there's so many people on the face of it on social media look like they're really successful, but they're not. And like, so there's a lot of mistrust. Right. So just being consistent and just, not being like the big I am with stuff, and just being consistent, doing what you say essentially, is, it speaks volumes.
What would you say, if you had to pick one thing, like the secret sauce to your formula, for all of it, what would you say it is? Consistency or?
Literally
just consistent,
Just being consistent, like. Just like keep plugging away. I mean, like, I look back at when I was doing like the first rents, I thought I'd fucking made it. I was like, you look back now and you're like, if I was doing like the numbers what I was doing then now, I'd fucking not give up, but like back it in. But like just being consistent, and I think I always knew that it would lead to something, so I just kept going and kept going, even though that might not have been worthwhile then, and like the lettings business doesn't make loads of money now, but it's a great funnel effectively for the other businesses because we've got that like strong point in the market for HMOs in the area, so it brings a lot of clients in, and not loss leader because it doesn't lose money, but do you know what I mean?
I get you.
You know, so yeah, just consistency, and it just does pay off.
No, I like the lights as well in that thing, innit? You know, the diagonal lights, bro. Mate, the standard is
But with stuff like that, like some jobs I'll do like the full interior design before we start it.
Okay.
But with that, I don't know if you've seen this other job we've done, we did like, you get like the acoustic wall panelling.
What's that, like the
like wood slats, with like the black behind it.
Yeah.
You can get like the 600 by 600 squares. I've done it before where like I have one that way, one that way. I was going to do that there, that's what I originally thought. And then I thought, I'm going to try something different. Literally just scrolling through like, might have been B&Q or something like that. A different, like, just different types of paneling and stuff. I found I thought, I reckon that looks sick.
Yeah.
And I literally made the Sparky change it because we were going to have hanging lights above the, above the table. So I could change it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that now. And I found them LED lights like 40 quid off Amazon.
Fuck off, really?
Yeah. And it's just like, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just like...
freestyle it sort of thing, isn't
it? Yeah. Like this stuff, like we either, for feature walls, we either go for like just a full wallpaper finish on the feature wall with a hanging light. Like some things you've got to design from the start because like you need this from the first fix, the switches, etc.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I always do the layout to start with. So, you know, I always knew from the start the desk was going to be there, chest of drawers there, bed there, built-in wardrobe here, because that dictates where we do M&E. So like, we don't want to put the TV socket like there behind the fucking bed.
Yeah,
you want
there. Yeah.
Same with like the Ethernet and the double socket, where you want that where the desk's going to be, and you want like the wardrobe to have space, and you want to be able to get to it. So like, all these stuff needs to be done first, but the actual design, like you can change that at any point. So you don't need that from day dot.
Mate, it's just mad. Everyone says HMO is sort of like chavvy, innit? But this, mate, I'd fucking live it. Do you know what I mean? This is nice. Do you know what I mean?
At the end of the day, like I see our competition not necessarily other HMOs. It's like the studio and the flat market. Like, this ain't a great example, but like as you saw it at Bournemouth Road, like some of the rooms will have like kitchenettes, like a living area, and like they're basically self-contained, bar like the communal kitchen. So I see our competition not necessarily other HMOs. I see them as your studios, your one-bed flats.
Yeah.
And if you look at the numbers, that we might be charging say $950 for one of those rooms. Then you look at what the rent is for a one-bed flat or a studio. That might also be $950, but then you've got the council tax, the bills, etc. So they can be saving like £300 a month by living in one of these. Equally as nice, and then enables them to then save to either buy a house, a holiday, car, whatever it is, because they don't need to have a flat. You know, I know they've freed up a flat for maybe a couple or a family. So like, you know, in a weird way, helping the housing crisis. And making money and enabling people to save money, because you know, not gonna lie, the rooms aren't cheap.
Right.
But it's still a cheaper alternative than living in a hotel or getting a fully self-contained.
When you put it like that, mate, fucking that £300 can make a big difference to some people. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people are forking out like nearly 50% of their wage.
We get a lot of people that downsize from flats and studios, either because the landlord's putting the rent up or they can't find somewhere, and you know, this is like the next best thing. And I think it's a change of way of people living. And when you actually realise that, you know, it's not like HMOs aren't what they used to be. Like there's like a stigma when it comes to it, where
100%.
people think, oh, you know, like even like you speak to your parents or whatnot, they'll think that like HMO is just like, you know, bed sits where you go. If you can't afford anything else, if you're on benefits, like that's the only reason you live in them. Where actually it's just like a new way of living. Like if you come to the area for work, why would you want to stay in a hotel when you can't cook? You know, have to eat out every night, got nowhere to do laundry. Whereas, you know, you go to something like this, you can move in with a bag and you've got everything that you need
mate, it's
ready to go.
It is quality, mate.
In this area, it's all working professionals that we go for. It's all working professionals. I think in terms of data, I think it's about 30% healthcare, 13% in like engineering, and about another 12% or so in IT.
Why working professionals over students? Because a lot of people argue students are better, but then other people argue working professionals are better.
Well, this isn't the student area for starters.
Right, see, nothing. Yeah.
So, and I think for professionals, this area works really well because where we are is we're here. You've got Poole Town Centre here, and you've got Bournemouth Town Centre there.
Yeah.
So we're slap bang in the middle of both.
Yeah.
You've got like the key transport routes, like the main roads, bus routes, trains, etc.
Yeah.
So like, you know, and then you've got loads of business parks up here. Like you've got the airport, you've got Nuffield, like you've got all these different business parks. So like you're slap bang in the middle for everything. So in terms of access, you're not like you're in Bournemouth Town Centre, which has got bad parking. You sort of limit yourself to maybe people only living in the town centre or who don't drive. Whereas here, you know, it's a more residential area. Like you look around, it's not like it's a student area.
No.
But yeah, you've just got really good access to different amenities and different jobs.
We hope you enjoyed our amazing quality YouTube video. If you would like to see more property content like this, make sure you subscribe, drop it a like to help the algorithm, drop a comment below, share it with your nan, share it with your nan's cousins, aunties, dogs, sisters, brother, mate. And make sure you drop Rory from ESA Properties a follow on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat and YouTube.